Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Carissa Garcia.
And I'm Christy Jansen, and we are part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help us all get focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, and home office-worthy podcast. Today is Thursday, March 24th, 2022. Hello, Christy. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Carissa, and I think we are in one of the better parts of the country right now. We've had friends dealing with storms and tornadoes and rain and freezing, and right now it's relatively calm on our coast.
Yes, it is. I know. I've been enjoying this warmer weather and longer hours of light. And so
I wonder if they change the daylight saving to make it like stay, if we'll appreciate this transition as much as we do now.
That's what I was thinking too, now that it's on the table for permanent legislation. I mean, I look forward to every year. I used to not because we lost an hour of sleep, and now it's just something that I'm like, oh, I cannot wait. And it's something to look forward to.
Something about the longer days makes me happy.
Me too.
That is exactly what it is. I feel that, and it's spring. I feel optimistic this morning. That's crazy. Even in the face of so much turmoil that's going on around the world.
Just a little more sunshine and a little more warmth makes me feel a lot more optimistic. So I hope everyone else across the country can get a little bit of that too.
Let's light them up with our positive voices right now, Carissa. And let's talk about what we want to talk about from the Optimist Daily. I'll let you go first. What's the headline you wanted to focus on today?
Well, my headline reads, the Smithsonian hosts 120 statues of great women in STEM. And I really love this story. I'm excited about it because I love STEM, which is fields of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, which are academic disciplines that have historically been dominated by men. And I love the great women in STEM changing the world. In celebration of Women's History Month, the Smithsonian decided to commemorate the great women by hosting their Women's Futures Month. So the most eye-catching attraction of this event is the collection of 120 3D printed statues of women leaders right now. That's called If Then, She Can, the exhibit.
So these are 120 statues that were created using 3D printing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're all of women leaders, and they're in the STEM fields.
Okay.
And I think I saw a picture of it, and they're all orange. They're really cool looking.
Okay.
Yeah, so they wanted to create this to jumpstart a cultural shift among young girls, so they'll see STEM careers as an opportunity for them. And obviously, this is very important because it's a big deal to be able to see yourself in fields that you want to go into, and especially for women. And these statues are really cool because they are life-size. They include the likeness of amazing women like Jessica Esquivel.
So who is Jessica Esquivel? I don't know who she is.
Yeah, she's one of the 150 women who have a doctorate in physics in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My friend Amy has a doctorate in physics.
Oh, well, she's one of
those 150 women.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I know.
Mention that to her.
You'll have to congratulate her for being a trailblazer in this field because seeing these numbers, like, wow, there really are only 150 women who have a doctorate in physics is really shocking still.
And is there a way in viewing these, are people going to know who these women are? I mean, it sounds like Jessica Esquivel is a bit esoteric unless you happen to be a physicist.
Yeah, so all the statues have a QR code so you can scan it and you can learn more about the women's individual stories. So I really like this story. I have like a little cousin who I'm always like, you can do anything in science if you want. And since like she was little, I've been like, you can be a future scientist.
Right. And I think what this is trying to maybe shift is our unconscious assumptions when we hear the word scientist. What do we visualize? Similar to the word doctor.
Exactly.
In past years, there was that joke where there's a doctor whose children come into the ER and the husband also. And then people are like, what? And because it's a woman doctor. And I remember as a little kid, that was like, wait, I don't understand. Now, all of my doctors happen to be women. I mean, just coincidentally, that's kind of common.
I was going to say, I also saw a recent article, I don't know where, but it was about an experiment, how they've had like little kids draw like a scientist, and it's always historically been a man in a white coat. But now they're finding that when they ask kids to draw scientists, it's 50% or something like that. More women are being drawn. And very important that we're changing the visualization.
And it's not to put women above men. It's really just to open it up and move away from that male bias. Similarly, opening it up for different people of color, of people of different backgrounds and origins. We wrote about the architect who was born in Ghana.
Yeah.
And I love that story too. These traditionally male-dominated, traditionally white-dominated industries and businesses and fields.
Yeah.
I like it. So this is good. All right. Sort of breaking the bias. I like it. My headline has to do with some simple ideas on how we can all bring climate activism into our everyday lives, if you're interested. We recently posted an article discussing impactful changes that we can make in our personal lives to help avoid climate crisis. And one of them was to actually get more active. One of them to vote and connect with whoever is your elected leaders or even your local administrative people in your cities to make sure that they are taking the steps that are pro-environment, pro-clean air, pro-moving towards a new energy system. If you are interested in actually taking this to the next level and working to enact planet-saving change in your community, then this article is about some ideas on how you might become a climate activist. And it doesn't mean you have to go chain yourself to a tree, although you could, or marching through the streets with a placard above your head, although that's completely a valid form of activism. But climate activism can also be embedded in small choices, smaller acts that can still have a beneficial impact on the well-being of the environment and in shifting community consciousness. And so here's a list of 5 ideas that we wanted to share. First of all, writing a letter. This is kind of a cool thing to do, especially now that we don't use written letters very often, where everything's online. But writing a handwritten letter is addressed to a company or an organization that urges action on a specific environmental issue can be a powerful message. It doesn't need to be lengthy. It doesn't need to be full of statistics or hyperbolic about the end of the world. It just needs to be an uncomplicated message that the receiver can understand and might touch them on a personal level. The next, getting online, because even though online activism is seen by some as kind of half-hearted, I think we've all come to a place where much of our lives are online, and there are so many online events, petitions that actually do have the ability to raise awareness, and it moves at a faster pace than ever. There are some weekly webinars that you can connect to. This article talks about Talks for Future, which seek to raise global awareness on issues through a free broadcast on the subject. And you can do smaller online groups even within your own community or people in your personal networks. Third idea is to host a movie night. And I love this one. Movie nights are something that we started doing over the pandemic, where we'd host a movie night in our homes. You can do that and also make it into a climate activist kind of thing. Like it's the new version of the book club, maybe, where you organize a movie night, get your friends and family, come over and share a movie that means something that maybe has a message like Our Planet, Wall-E, Seaspiracy. The Need to Grow is one that a friend of mine just shared with me. It's a documentary about improving the soil. And there's so many titles that you can come together and watch and then talk about, and it might change somebody's heart and mind. You can engage with the government, again, voting or joining your local city council or talking to your local political representatives. There's so many ways to engage, and action at the local level can actually have very profound impact.
Exactly.
Finally, create a campaign. Choose a topic, pretty much anything you're passionate about, and start a campaign based around it. Spreading the word within your community can raise people's awareness on climate change topics. Plus, it also can become a local actor in your community to help push your local government to know how serious your town is taking a particular issue. For example, single-use plastics. Those were campaigns that were started at the local grassroots level. But it can be anything. It can be getting natural gas out of new home construction, for example, or it can be finding funding to upgrade and improve efficiency, get LED lights in every house in the city, even for people who can't necessarily afford it on their own. Find the funding and make a campaign around that. All of these things, doing any of them means you're actually an activist. And I like the idea of feeling like we're taking action.
Yeah. And even just getting informed and sharing that knowledge is so important to all of this going on.
But we're running out of time. So what else is on the headlines?
Let's see. So a couple other headlines we have for your Thursday are 3 ways senior health rights have improved coming out of the pandemic. A podiatrist and PT share the 5 best stretches for flat feet. And what happens to the anxious brain on LSD? I'm curious to read that one. What else?
UK supports youth-driven climate organization Sustena Honduras. Having a burnout? Here are some tips to getting back on your game. That and so much more on theoptimusdaily.com. Thanks everybody for listening to the Optimus Daily Update. We promise to keep sharing positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in the changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. We promise to cover current events with accurate, legitimate sources, offering you the information we all need to chart new paths for the world. And if you like what we're doing, please share the Optimus Daily. Please forward our stories. Please forward our social media feeds. Please rate us on whatever podcast app you're listening to and help people find us. And if you have the means and you haven't already, please consider becoming an emissary on theoptimusdaily.com, starting at just $5 a month. You can help support reader-funded, independent journalism and be part of the solution-changing consciousness that addresses our world's biggest challenges with that problem-solving mindset. And they help us keep the Optimus Daily free for all who need it, supported by those of us who can. Carissa, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, Christy, and happy Thursday to all our listeners. We'll be back tomorrow with more solutions.